Hello, my name is Devin Pye, and welcome back to Terraria. This episode of Terraria we are going to be talking mainly about Hearthstone, so if you weren't interested in that, I'd recommend stopping now. I decided this time to pre-record the footage rather than playing while I was talking, just because it gives me a better chance to both focus on the game and focus on the cards. And this, not too much that you're either interested in the gameplay or interested in the footage. So I'm going to start with the neutral cards. I'm just going to run through them all and give my thoughts on them. And yeah, they might be different from some of the other popular players' thoughts on them. Maybe they'll be the same. We'll see. So first off, we have the Clockwork Gnome. This is a 1 mana 2/1 mech. Death Rattle, add a spare part card to your hand. It's very similar to Leper Gnome, except for the Death Rattle is different. Instead of doing 2 damage, it gives you a spare part. That spare part costs 1 mana itself. So, I guess you could think of it as a 2 mana card, but it really isn't, because it only costs 1 to put on the field. It's handy. I think it'll probably see play in a decent amount of mech decks simply because it combos nicely with other mechs, obviously, and it's not too rushy. Like, you look at the Leper Gnome, the reason why the Leper Gnome is such an aggro card is because it also does 2 damage. This one just gives you a spare part, which is great, but it's not exactly aggressive, is it? The fact that it's a 1 mana thing is what makes it aggressive. Spare part is interesting. Could be used with cards like Toshli and what have you. Who knows? I think this is only going to get played in mech decks, obviously, and in arena. In arena, it's going to be meh, unless you have other mech cards. It's just a 2/1, which is better than a 1/2, I guess, in most cases, but not that amazing. So next we have the Cogmaster. So 1 mana, 1/2, has +2 attack while you have a mech. This is an card which is another mech card. It's not great, let's say. I don't know. It's good. Again, it's similar to Clockwork Gnome. You probably played in Clockwork Gnome. Of course, the dream is to play Clockwork Gnome, Coin, Cogmaster, or what have you. The fact that it's not a battle cry, that extra attack is interesting. It means that it can be reapplied, and it's not, you don't have to play this with a mech to get full value. You can play this and then the mech type thing. But the fact is, if you see it as just a 1/2, then it's a garbage card. So you definitely have to have something to play with this, and it's not that great late game. It's only good if you draw on your opening hand, right? So the fact that it's not a mech too, it's just a blank card, means that it's alright. It'll probably see play in mech decks, nothing besides that. In arena, it's even worse than Clockwork Gnome. There you go. Okay, so next we have a Neotron. Neotron is a 2 mana, 1/2 mech, Taunt, Divine Shield. What's weird is that the Paladin class card is a 2 mana, 2/2 mech with Divine Shield, and without the Taunt. So it's basically the same except for stronger. Of course, it doesn't have Taunt, but it's squishy. It's similar to this one is similar to a like an Argent Squire, I suppose. You lose stats to gain Divine Shield. This loses one attack for the Taunt and 1 attack for the Divine Shield. It could see play in mech decks, just like the last 2. If you can buff it up, it's decent. So I'm really not sure how good this card is. Could be good, could be bad. Probably bad though, just because it's in arena, not great. Next we have Explosive Sheep. It's a 2 mana, 1/1 mech. Death Rattle, deal 2 damage to all minions. This is a really good card, actually, surprisingly so. I've already seen it a bit in arena, because if you're not aware, and I'll be very surprised if you weren't, Arena has just become Goblin versus Gnomified, if you want to call it that. The cards that you can get in Arena are now Goblin versus Gnome ones. So you can, as well as Classic, of course, but you can get Goblin versus Gnome ones as well. And I've seen people use this explosive sheet very effectively. Basically, it's a 2-mana Consecrate, or if you're like a mage or something, you can ping it. It's a 4-mana Consecrate, which is exactly what a Consecrate should be, but 1 card. So it's very interesting. It's just a good board clear. I'm not sure though if it's going to see too much play in Constructed. I could see it. I mean, I don't think Warriors would run it just because it does too much damage. I could see it in Control mech decks because it's a mech, which is nice, and can take out aggro decks, like use this on Zoo, and Zoo is gone type thing for the most part. You know, Zoo does have some higher cost, higher health minions, but still good against aggro, very good against aggro. Yeah. If it's going to be played in non-mech decks, is hard to say. If the stats are actually that is good enough for that, I don't know. Like the effect, because in Constructed you can always get board clear, so it's good. You don't have to use minions like this when you can just run a Consecrate or something, you know. But you know, maybe it's cheap enough to be worth it. Yeah, in Arena it's good. It's a good 2-drop. It can clear things. It can even clear 3-drop, a 3-drop technically, because the 3-drop has to kill it before it, you know, dies. A 3-drop by which I mean a 3 health. Yeah. So yeah. Next we have Gilblin Stalker, which is Gilblins are underwater goblins basically. So I have to know about them. It's a 2-mana 2/3 with stealth, which is interesting stats. Generally 2/3 is not as strong as 3/2. Vanilla, what you think of as a basis for 2-drops is a 3/2 or 2/3. Like you see the 3/2 Raptor or the 2/3 Cocolisk, and their only text is Beast. So it's interesting because this is actually quite valuable because it has stealth, and it's got quite high health for stealth. You generally see very high health. I mean, very high attack and low health, like Ravenclaw, Ravenhold Assassin, or Worgen Infiltrator. So it sticks around the thing, which is interesting, and it cannot be removed by like Frostbolt or Shadow Bomb or what have you. So it could see work in Arena. It's very good. Or at least it's, I wouldn't say very good, it's good, it's a decent card. But stealth just isn't that good. You don't see people running Stranglethorn Tigers, or Worgen Infiltrator, or Ravenhold Assassin. The fact that it can't be targeted for until you attack with it, just, I guess, isn't that good, I suppose? I don't know. It just doesn't seem powerful enough to be running Constructed very often. So unless stealth becomes a lot stronger in the future, I don't think this is going to get much play, to be honest. Next card we have is Mech Warper. 2-mana, 2/3. Mechs cost 1 less. I have covered this card before. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be running in all mech decks, be it control or aggro. It's just a really powerful card. You get 2 of these out, and they stack. The effect stacks, so they'll be costing 2 less. And it being a mech means it combos with things. In Arena, it's alright. 2 for 2/3 is fine. Especially being a mech, you could get some combo out of it. And the effect will be great for mechs. In Constructed, this is going to be running all sorts of decks, all sorts of mech decks. I mean, you look at what, a pint-sized summoner. That's the card, I believe. It's 3 for 2/2, and its effect reads the next minion you play the next turn. The first minion you play next turn will cost 1 less mana. So this is basically that card, but better. Got better stats, got better effect. So it's just overall a better card than that. It even affects more than 1 minion. So yeah, I think pint-sized summoner used to be your the first minion cost 2 less way back in beta, and it was changed, so this might get changed too. We'll have to see. Okay, next card we have is Micro Machine. 2 mana, 1/2 mech. At the start of each turn, gain +1 attack. This is a very good card. You notice that it's the start of each turn. That means your enemy's turn. So it's a 1/2 when you put it down. When you end the turn, it becomes a 2/2. When your opponent ends their turn, it becomes a 3/2. So by the time it gets back to you, it's a 3/2. When the first time your opponent has to deal with it, it's a 2/2. So it can trade with 3/2s. If it sticks around enough, it can trade with most things, because it'll just keep on growing and growing. It's like Gruul in that respect, which is a 8 cost, 7/7, gain +1/+1 at the end of each turn, except for better, because Gruul is just too slow and too vulnerable to silence. If your opponent has to silence this, you know that you're good, because there's way stronger things to silence in most decks. It's powerful and it snowballs. I can see it in aggro, maybe even mid-range mech decks, simply because of how much damage you can output with this thing, and because of the combos. In Arena, this is a very, very strong card, because people generally have less removal in Arena, and the longer this thing sticks around, the stronger and scarier it becomes. So yeah, that's basically Micro Machine. Next we have Puddle Stomper. It's a 2 mana 3/2 Murloc. This is a new Murloc card, the only neutral Murloc that has been added for this expansion. And there is another card out there, which is the Murloc Tidehunter, which is a vanilla common card. Is a 2 mana 2/1 summon a 1/1, and they're both Murlocs. This is basically an alternative to that, and I feel like this one is stronger, simply because the stats are so much better. Even though you only get 1 Murloc from it, the fact that it trades with 3/3s is very strong. On the other hand, the 2/1 with a summon, Murloc Tidehunter, is better if you want things to die. Like, say you have the new Shaman card Murloc, which gives you cards whenever a Murloc dies. This card is not as good as the Murloc Tidehunter, because Murloc Tidehunter, you can kill both of them off, because they're almost certainly going to kill off, because they both only have 1 health. So whether you want to run the Murloc Tidehunter or run this, or even run both, is hard to say. I'd probably run this instead, just because the stats are better, and it sticks around longer, so you can trade up. In Arena, it's a decent 2-drop. Take it if you don't have many 2-drops, but don't expect to get any synergy out of the Murloc-ness of this card. Plus, it looks really cool. Orange Murlocs are pretty sick. Okay, next we have the Ship's Cannon. 2 mana, 2/3. Whenever you summon a pirate, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. Obviously meant to be run in a pirate deck. The stats are decent. In Arena, this is a 2/2/3. Take it if you need more low drops. Don't expect to get much synergy out of it, however. In a pirate deck, it's really hard to say, because we're not sure how good pirate decks are going to be yet. If there is a pirate deck, that's good. This will be running it. But somehow I doubt that, because the only pirate cards that have been added in this expansion aren't that great. You have a 7/4 blank text, 7/4 for 5, which is basically like a goblin mercenary without the downside, but with 2 less health. And the other one was the stabby rogue one, which is a 4/1 with stealth. 4/1 that gains stealth whenever you play a pirate. I don't know, I don't think pirates are going to be a thing. I just don't think they're powerful enough to actually be playable. But we'll see. Maybe they'll make a comeback, especially in Rogue. Maybe Warrior. But yeah, this card itself is only good in the mech. If you do have a pirate deck, this is one of the strongest cards in it, however. It's like a knife juggler, except for only for pirates. So yeah, that's Ship's Cannon for you.